I asked this guy, the neurosurgeon, and he said, have you seen someone recovering from this thing? And yeah, it's hard, but I've seen people, and the ones that got like put a lot of commitment and got good guidance. I've seen people recovering in my practice.
How's it going? Shaan here from Bye Bye Panic Mentorship Program, and I have an amazing recovery story. I have Christian, and when Christian and I decided to have this conversation, the premise was very clear, and this is the same premise I have with all the recovery stories, which is don't hold back, say everything you want to say. Don't think about it as, I want you to say this, I don't want you to say that. Just be fully transparent about your recovery story because there's no wrong answers, because it's your story. And really just share as much as you want. That's it. That's all I told him. And so in this conversation, he really talks about the recovery journey. Now, there's something really unique about Christian here, okay? Now, as I'm filming this video I'm filming this in November of 2022, okay? But Christian joined the program in August of 2020. So he's had over 2 years in this recovery journey, which is amazing because he's really going to show you what it's like over the last 2 years and what to expect on the recovery journey. And what I would also say is this is one of those recovery stories where I'd highly recommend you to listen to multiple times because Christian drops in so many profound nuggets of wisdom that it's very easy to overlook it. He's not holding back, and he's going to tell you what his life is like right now and what he would tell you as someone who is going through the recovery journey to make your recovery journey faster and more enjoyable. So let's get it started. Welcome to the channel. I have Christian here. This is a long time coming. Christian, welcome, man. Welcome to the
How's it going, mate?
Can you believe it? I can't believe it, man. Can't believe we're having a talk here, man. It's so much to talk about.
I know. I think I was picturing this in my mind when I was going through the journey. Just like recording with you was like that magic moment of me recovering somehow. So I just kept seeing these videos, and I wanted to be like that person that was on the other side, I guess.
Well, I really appreciate you being on this channel here. Yeah, because it's great. A lot of people will find value in it, and man, what a story. So let's start. Let's go from the very beginning. How did all start?
So look, I was kind of like halfway through my wife's pregnancy, and I was getting stressed with work, normal stress, and I guess people kept triggering me with these what ifs, I was announcing the pregnancy, and a guy said, well, don't say it so quickly. I lost a couple of babies, blah, blah, blah. And other people like making comments like this kind of type. And it kind of triggered me in a bad way, like thinking all of these what ifs scenarios. And I just kept getting, as we went through the pregnancy, just getting more and more worried about these what ifs. And then one day I was just sleeping, and I felt these palpitations. I went from my chest to the head. And I was like, wow, I've never experienced this thing, But I was like not overly concerned. Like I didn't go to the doctor or anything, just like this is very, very new to me. And then I just kept having these things at night, and having this like chest pain here, right here in the middle, which just got more severe and severe as I went through the pregnancy. And yeah, and then I was checking on that chest pain, and doctors, up to that point was just like normal checkups, and they're like, no, I can see like there's nothing wrong. I think it's just anxiety, and at that point, anxiety to me was like stress, high stress or something. I was very naive on the topic, so I was like, okay, but for some reason it didn't like reassure me. So I was like, I don't know. I've never felt this. Like I experienced stress in exams and stuff, but never this thing like so intense, And just kept going and kept going, and then I started like obviously searching. great advice. Searching on Google like what is this chest pain, and it kind of triggered me into this like test that they give, like if it's the top corner is blah blah blah, like pancreatitis, and if it's the left hand side, is blah blah blah. So I was kind of like, yeah, this is me, and I was like, pancreatitis. I got pancreatitis, and then like reading things like if you don't check it quickly, maybe some people die in a week and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, maybe it's me. Like I might die, so I need to go to a doctor again and check. And the doctor is like, oh, no, you don't have pancreatitis. But I kept believing that, like as I, like this guy doesn't know, so maybe I need to keep checking. And yeah, one thing led to another, so I kept like just getting more worried about this symptom that I've never experienced, which was more, I would say, the thing that triggered me was chronic, so not like going off and on. Um, and then I just then led me into the path of having my first panic attack. So I was like walking in a park, and I felt this thing in the arm that went to my face. I remember my mother had something like this, obviously in her 50s, 60s, and it was something related to the heart. So I called her and like, how did you feel this thing when you had a heart problem, you know? And she said like, yeah, no, I felt it in the arm, going to the face, whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm having a heart attack or something, you know? So yeah, I remember calling my brother and then and my wife, and they took me to the hospital, but I really felt like I was dying. So I said to them like, look, I need attendance really quickly, otherwise I don't feel I can get through this thing. I was like short breath and shaking and telling the people just check on me, you know, and what's going on. And again, just they went through these tests and stuff for the first time, more a bit more severe, like more intense, sorry, on the medical side, but nothing like chest scans and things. In emergency, nothing. So they said, look, there's nothing to worry about. And again, I went home, and but I didn't feel reassured. Nobody told me what was going on. Uh, so all these symptoms, all these things, and the panic attack. I wasn't worried about I guess, the scare of the panic attack, but what I was experiencing, you know. So that's how everything kind of started to become more chronic.
And so how long did that go on for? Like how long were you like really like dealing with this where you felt like you were like really lost, where you're like, man, I really don't like when how long was it before you realized it was anxiety?
Yeah, that's a great question. So from that point, it's been maybe a month where I have these casual checks with doctors, and then this first time that I went to the hospital emergency and didn't find anything. Then I went to a specialist, and again, like I think I had my first CT scan or something. Nothing again, and up to this point, like three checks with like very thorough checks, and all of them said like, look, there's nothing. I kept going to this doctor like maybe 2 3 times, and he checked like for something in the bladder or organs in the middle of the body, whatever. Nothing. And the guy, I think what really triggered me, that the guy said like, there's nothing going on, and I was looking for an answer like
Yeah.
stress or anxiety or something, but they just said like, there's nothing medical. And I was like, there has to be an explanation for what I'm feeling. So
Yeah.
I just kept looking, and three doctors, like you know, bloody PhDs and 20 30 years of experience, but they say, you got, I can't find anything. So I say, why am I experiencing this? And they say, I don't know. They couldn't. I was needing like that person that said, this is it, and this is why you have it. That's why I was mistrusted of doctors, I guess.
Mhm.
And so again, it kept going for maybe 2 3 months, and I had more panic attacks. So maybe 3 4 a day, 5 a day. I was Symptoms were getting more severe, and finally I found this doctor, and he goes, and it's anxiety. I'm like, okay. And I said, oh, but please check, because I was like doing again Google and stuff, and I kept finding these weird conditions, like maybe they don't know, whatever. And I guess like playing the smart there, and all because I couldn't find that person that told me with 100% confidence, this is it, and this is the plan. And this doctor performed me like crazy stuff, like brain scans, MRI, CT scans. I spent like maybe similar to when I was hearing your story, a lot of money on different scans. And he said to me, similar to your story, he said, you know what, let's do whatever scan you want. I'll do it on you. And I can even call a board of doctors and put it and check on you specialist if you don't trust my judgment. I know it's anxiety and you're suffering from, sat with me on a coffee, I remember that day, and he said, you got hypochondria or
Yeah.
health anxiety. It's going to be tough because, you know, he didn't explain like too well, but basically you believe you're sick and it's creating all of these things. It's all in your mind, right? They say it's all in your mind. So I'm
Yeah.
like, it's all in my mind. What does that mean? You know? Again, finally, he told me it's anxiety, but he didn't say how it works. You know?
Uh-huh.
And I was rejecting the idea because then I jump on Google and say like anxiety, and people say like you cannot recover from anxiety. So I say like there's no way I got anxiety. Like
Yeah.
I was nah. I can't be living with this for my whole life. That's exactly what you find. Like, and then he referred me to a psychologist. But at that point, I was rejecting the condition because of so much I've been through and nobody kind of knew, and I was going between doctors. So yeah, it took very good, maybe 3 to 6 months to finally get to the point where it was diagnosed. But again, I didn't believe the diagnosis, I guess.
Mhm. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's super common. So you finally had a doctor that told you it was anxiety, and
Mm-hmm.
naturally, it's like I don't really believe you. So what happened after that? Then what happened? How did you, I guess, stumble across, my work and stuff? And like what was that pivot? What was that shift for you where you were like, oh, okay, maybe this is actually like how did that work?
Yeah. So from that point, he says it's anxiety, and then I'm like, I'm very lost. You know, I checked 3 doctors. None of these guys said anything, and then this guy says it's anxiety for the first time I diagnosed.
Mhm.
Okay, and then I guess I was having all of this. I kept going with the checks, with the scans and stuff, crazy stuff. Kept spending money. He sent me to a psychologist for a first stage. But I kept searching, like, what's going on with me? And I was really confused. The symptoms got more severe, so I had more symptoms. And it got to a point where he said to me on the consultations, you can only check with 3 symptoms on me because you got like a period of the
Yeah.
consultation that goes through. So he got me, okay, just ask 3 symptoms. And I had like a list. I even made a map of my body and all of the things that I was feeling. There
Yeah.
were like maybe 20 of them. And the guy's like, just ask me 3 things. And I was like, okay, this thing that I'm feeling in the eye and this thing that I'm feeling in the chest. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Whatever. And
Mhm.
the guy, yes, it's this, but with complete confidence. So I started to feel like maybe this guy's right, but I still wasn't sure. And my mother called one of our good family friends. He's one of the best neurosurgeon in our country, in Venezuela.
Yeah.
And he said, send me all the scans, everything you have. He checks on the things and he's like, it's anxiety, and he's like 40, 45, 50 years experience, you know, specialized on the brain and the all of that. And he's like, this is it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, second person that says that. So, and my family really trusts this guy. So I was like, okay, I'm starting to believe he's that. And he told me again with fully confidence, I've seen this many, many, many times. I'm specialized on diagnosing these things. And another friend of my mother again check on the things. He's in another practice, but they're very experienced as well. He
Mhm.
also said it's anxiety. Um, but he did trigger me again with it's on the mind. I didn't understand the concept. So I guess after all of these 3 guys telling me it is anxiety with full confidence, um, I was starting to believe, yes, okay, this is what I have, but I'm really scared. Like I don't know how to fix it, and all I find is like is unfixable.
Yeah.
Um, So I kept searching. I asked this guy, the neurosurgeon, and he said, have you seen someone recovering from this thing? And yeah, it's hard, but I've seen people, and the ones that got like put a lot of commitment and got good guidance. I've seen people recovering in my practice,
Hmm.
and I'm like, okay, great. So there is hope, you know. But now I need the guidance, and up to this point, I've seen three psychologists, even a psychiatrist, and I think they were trying to maybe help me, but it was very um, like a very medical kind of approach, like okay, you got these labels, right, and you need to do A, B, and C, like playing by the book. But I didn't feel like they understood me, so I was very focused on the symptoms, and they disregarded me because I guess in their mind, obviously, they know what I have.
Mhm.
So they're saying, do this. I'm like, but what about this thing that I'm feeling? Are you sure it's this? So I was very reassurance driven, you know? And so I didn't feel validated, understood. And I kept searching, and I found you and another guy. He's a tennis player, and he also went through this thing. I felt like I had that connection with you and him in the way you guys explain it.
Mhm.
All I found on the internet was like this guy's like very marketing, like do this and blah. Like you can tell is all BS. Like they don't. Is very pitchy,
Mhm.
With you guys, I felt like that rapport in the story, like the way you talk, the way the emotions, everything. I
Mhm.
felt it was real, you know. So this guy, the tennis player, I think I felt like he gave me a bit of good understanding of the anxiety and how it works. So it
Mhm.
was like a good maybe foundation, but I was still understanding the condition, but I felt like I had no understanding of coming out. Just like a general knowledge of how anxiety works, which was very helpful. Um, but again, when I saw your videos and I saw all these stories, like I guess what I'm doing today, I felt like I can see, real people going through this thing, coming out. It's a real deal. It's not like again a pitch marketing thing. And I felt through the words, the emotions, everything that it was real. So
Mhm.
I'm seeing all of these people recovering, and I'm like, I need to talk to this guy. I need to see how he went through this thing and came out. I believe he can teach me if it's possible. And this guy's a testament that it's possible. I want to learn from you guys. That's when I reach out to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I remember you reached out. I remember our first interaction, and then I remember our next interaction, and then you
Yeah.
joined, the mentorship. Now, I have my experience of you in the mentorship, and I definitely want to share that. But I'm curious about yours, because watching you was pretty amazing to watch in a weird way. I don't think I've ever told you this, but watching you a little bit behind the scenes was actually very fascinating. But I wanted to get your side, like I wanted to hear from your perspective. How was the journey like in the mentorship?
Yeah, look, when I first joined, obviously, I guess I was very stubborn because I had to let go of the idea nothing has worked for me up to this point, It's a very tough position for you to take because I've tried acupuncture, I've tried three psychologists, a psychiatrist, I tried all of these doctors. Up to that point, no one could help me. Even my family, obviously, that they cared the most about me, they were trying to help. No one could help me. So I was feeling very hopeless. And almost you become this person that you can see a story that is real, but it's
Mhm.
almost like I want to help you, and you feel like I don't think you can help me not in a negative way, but like I've tried everything. I don't think show me. So I guess that first point is hard to really start getting the trust. Like hopefully you're so scared, like you don't know if it's gonna work out. And I guess stepping into the program, you also feel a bit selfish. Like you want all the attention on you. Like why group meetings? Why on the chat? I want you to answer my questions. I want you to focus on me. So I didn't feel like I was a bit like what's going on. I want my sessions. I want to get this done very quick. Um, so I was like having a bit of hard time, I guess, adapting and trusting. not in a bad way, just like what I've been through, I guess. Up to that point, it's been maybe 2 years, good 2 years that I tried everything. And I was really desperate, I was in a very bad place. Again, 5 panic attacks and all of this stuff. Even thinking like when I met you, like ended it all, not because I wanted to, just because I was suffering so much that every day was like from the beginning to the end, it was like another day of this thing. Like it's horrible. And you came to me and like seeing these groups and people like are kind of the same as me, going through the same thing, but also seeing a bit more experienced people, all of the levels, and seeing the questions and start seeing a bit of the value, like maybe it's detaching from the ego. Like it doesn't have to be about me. I'm seeing these people that have the same problems, and they're being answered, even things that I haven't even think of. They are asking, and it's giving me a wider picture. I think those videos the program that the videos apart that gives you a lot of context, because trusting something that once we get to that point, but trusting the method without knowing how it works, like how anxiety, the mechanics of anxiety. It's almost like saying there is a tiger there that your blood is scared, but you don't understand why he's behaving or in this way. And it's almost like, yeah, just leave it there. It's fine. You won't, because you don't trust the process, So I found really helpful that the videos explaining, even you guys explaining the calls, why you feel the symptoms, how do they work I'm very analytical person, So like an explanation why I feel the muscle tension, these things, all of that, how a panic attack works, all of this really gives you the confidence to trust, So I found really helpful a combination between the chats, talking, being able to address your questions every day. I think you guys take it really seriously in terms of the suicide and all of this stuff as well. The diagnose, like talk to your doctors, all of this is very professional. And the calls, the follow-up calls, they're very helpful as well. Like you have a chance to address your questions, but at the same time hearing other people's problems and getting all of that knowledge, in your bag. So yeah, really good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was really interesting. Yeah, because it was very similar, right? Like in the beginning, and like I feel like with everybody in the beginning, it's kind of like what you went through is like totally normal. I even think about it as like, if I went through the mentorship, how would I behave? And I think very similarly in the beginning, right? And me, what about me? What about me? And then like, you almost have to take a step back and you're like, okay, hold on, what's going on, right? I always say like, I can't even talk to you about how to overcome this first. We're not even at that conversation. We need to understand what's happening right now.
Yeah.
What was really interesting about you, Christian, that I thought was really, there was to me, because I actually think Merca was a big aspect of your recovery journey. I think Merca, just because of the time zone thing, I almost saw like a day and night thing from you, where something it happened. It might have not been a day and night thing, but there was just like this shift that you had, and it was so amazing. And so when you had that shift, I was like, oh, this is cool to watch. And then my thing was, does this shift stay? Because I've seen that before. I've seen people shift and they're like, okay, they're in a good path, and then sometimes they'll revert back. But you've just this whole time, like it's been awesome, which is amazing, which is exactly, I mean, like it's in terms of like student learning, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better thing. But I was curious, and I've never asked you this, like, and it might have not been overnight, so I might not, but it just felt like there was like this, I don't know, there was a perspective shift from you that it felt like a 180 almost in a way. And I just don't see it happen that fast. I see it take time to get there. So I was just curious if you like, what about that?
Yeah, I think it happens because you got personalities, right? And you got people that connect and learn in different ways. And I think when you have a variety of coaches and that cross matching between the person that is similar to the way you are, like Mirka is she explains everything very well, very thorough, very scientific, if you want to call it. Like this happened because of this, and that. And she's very confident. In a way, it reminds me of how I am and how I learn. I need that person to be strong-minded, like this is what it is. so I don't go in doubts, And she was that strong pillar where every question I had around a certain doubt, to let go of my beliefs. She was very opinion, like very strong, almost like I've been through this, and with so much confidence that I felt like I can let go of this idea. I trust this person. And I think when you find that coach, a good match that been through the same thing, that understand the situation, that explains the things in the way you learn, then you come on that path more easily.
Mhm.
That's what happened to me with her. I found that she understood me well. She picked my things and the way I learned very quickly, and she covered that gap. So I was very easy going on. Like I can let go of how I'm thinking. I trust her. That's how I think it happened. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. Yeah, America was definitely a big aspect of it.
Maybe with the symptoms as well.
Yeah.
Like finding people that have got similar symptoms
Mhm.
really helps. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why even in the coaches, there's like so many different, like, Caesar had more of the DPDR, I had more of the health anxiety, Merck had more of the panic attacks. But remember, at the end of the day, Christian, you're the one that put in the work, man. So at the end, the credit only goes to you. So that's been amazing. And now, how was your recovery journey? Like, how is that? I mean, and like, you know how it is, right? Like, this is kind of like an unlayering process. So like, you're still kind of processing your own way, but how has that journey been so far for you?
Yeah. So the first thing, obviously, that bewilderment, like you don't know what's going on, up to a stage where you are. I think first you need to accept the condition, the anxiety, the trust that is anxiety. You cannot fix something that you haven't accepted, you know. So that first stage, it was really important, like getting multiple people that I trust, at least one guy that you trust, so that you accept the condition. So then moving forward, you are lost, like, okay, I know what I have, but I don't know how to fix it. And at that point, I think it's key to find that person that. That's why it didn't work out for me, I guess, with psychologists and psychiatrists, like that person that has been through the same thing, that understands what you've been triggered, what you're feeling, what all of that, what happened with you guys and I. Like I felt like whatever I was explaining, it was just not like do this. You really got me how I'm feeling. You have that empathy. And it creates a really good rapport and validation between that guide and yourself. So I guess that second stage was to find that person that you trust. But I think it really works when you also are driven. You need a motivation. For me, at that point, what the deepest point for me was like when I was thinking all of this, like giving up. I found this strength in why you want to live. And so you are driven, and it doesn't necessarily have to be something external. I think it's for the sake of something that you just you want to do. Like it could be traveling, it could be seeing the world, it could be I want to see. For me, it was seeing my daughters grow. My parents getting old, and I didn't want to give up on my family. So when you find that drive, now yes, it's bloody hard, but you have that strength, to keep going. Then you find, for me, the aha moment was when somebody explained what it was. So now I understand the mechanics of anxiety. You cannot fix it unless you don't let go of the fear, unless you know what you're dealing with. So that step is so important, that somebody explain to you how is anxiety working, how do you get triggered, why are you feeling what you're feeling. And now you're getting to the point, okay, I understand, now teach me how to let go of the fear. And the fear is one part understanding, the other part the trust. And the trust, that's why I say it's really important to find a person that's been through. It helps a lot. I trust you because I know you came the other way. You've been here, and I feel like you can guide me. Whatever I was experiencing, the setbacks, everything, you've been through them. So you can say with confidence, yeah, I made those mistakes, and this is how you come out. So that was really important for me. This belief of it's all in your mind, it's so confusing. Actually explaining why why is the mind producing all of these things, which is a different frame. It's on your mind, which makes you feel like you're imagining symptoms and you're dealing with this monster, as opposed to the hormones and everything, and why they get expressed in the body this way, the power of the mind and the body. And then that part of how do you fix it, and without guidance is very, I always admire you how you read this book and it clicked with you, because it's so hard to really trust something that is not tangible, that you cannot see and like a real thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's bloody hard. So biggest part is that you take your own journey. Nobody's going to fix it for you. So you have to put the work, but the only way it's going to work if you trust the process. If you don't trust the process, you don't put why would you even put an effort if you know it's not going to work? So you need to understand you are wrong the way you're doing it. It's not working, obviously. That's why you are in that stage. And how quickly do you let go of those ideas and you accept to follow another path, someone that is guiding you?
Yeah.
So it's trust that really takes you there. Yeah.
No, great answers, man. Yeah, and I resonate with so much of what you said. Yeah, trust is a big part, man.
Trust and faith. Yes, faith in yourself. Yeah,
it really is. It forces you to let go, truly. And I always said, right? I always said my recovery started when I hit rock bottom, when I just was like, okay, well now every time I did something, I messed it up. So then I was like, well, I got to do it this way because I've tried everything else. And then like how you mentioned, it was like, you have to have values beyond yourself. Otherwise it's too hard. It's too easy to give up. Right. And so, for you as your family and, your daughters and, your parents. And for me, it was very similar. It was my family too. And just, my potential in general. And it works out, right? It's so worth it at the end. How is life now? How are you doing now?
Look, I think I was thinking of it will be just about anxiety, but it has made me grow in so many aspects of my life. Like I started questioning my beliefs in all areas, which is a funny song, because you go from anxiety to start fixing your whole life, and eventually you let go of that and you ease into your life normally. But I started picking on like perfectionism and all of these things that they were hurting me, and I became overall like a more confident person. I trust myself and I trust others. I'm more humble. I have faith. It's not, you would imagine like I'm going what I was before, but not even. You're going like way better. It's in every aspect of your life. You're more resilient, more stronger in everything, So I feel like it has made me go into force because I didn't choose it, but I'm so glad that I was forced to look into my emotions, mental state, and I'm like overall like a much better person.
Yeah.
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling even just a gift that I can help more people. It feels amazing. I found that I think similar to you. Like I feel like that's a purpose in my life, to help people.
You feel it, right? It's like, because like you went through something, you didn't want to go through it. You didn't think you were going to come out. You came out and you were like so shocked, and it's almost like, to me, it felt like I couldn't, like, I always felt like, this sounds kind of silly, but I don't know if you ever heard me say it on the call. I sometimes say it. I don't say it too often, but it's like, I felt like I got a second chance at life. And
yes,
it's almost going to be like, I'm going to be judged for it. It's like, yo, you got a second chance. It was almost like a gift. It was like, it wasn't supposed to happen, but it was given as a gift. And to me, it's like, okay, well, what did you do? What did you do with the gift? And that's why it's like, okay, well, let me try to give back and help out, because, and so, yeah, I know exactly what you're going through. So what's going on right now in terms of like, are you helping other people and stuff? I'm curious about that in general.
Yeah. So, for example, you see me posting things on the group, which I really don't need as an assurance on my journey, but I do it because
For others.
I know how it's been in that place. Is you feel hopeless, horrible, and I want to get people come out quicker and better in a better way, being more equipped, that I was like, I think that's my way of giving as well. I've given a speech at work. People are reaching out to me at work, like, how do you do it? Suffering that they're coming out and they're trusting me because they feel like nobody understood them. Like that's how you feel in your journey. Nobody knows, nobody can help you.
Curious.
And
How do you feel
yeah.
about that? Like, how do you feel like knowing that like you just shared your story and like other people that are like in your direct vicinity are reaching out saying like, oh my God, I struggle with this. Did that surprise you at all?
Yeah, definitely. Like you would see, like, for example, in a group of 30 people, you feel like you are the only one. But
Yeah.
then you share your story, and the guy next to you is like, "Oh yeah, nobody knows, but I'm actually suffering from this thing as we're speaking." And then another guy's like, "Hi, how did you come out of this thing?" And all of the sudden, it's like 6 people out of these 30 they're actually going through this thing, but they were scared of like people judging them or the culture, all of these aspects, like getting fired, like being judged, getting fired, all of these things. So they keep it as a secret, like the shell that how you show to the world versus how you really are internally. It's just a face, yeah, a
I,
mask that you put on to show strong, but so many people are suffering in the inside, on the inside. Yeah.
that was one of my biggest surprises, man. When I did this, I was like, man, I don't think anyone's gonna like resonate because no one went through it. And similar to you, I wasn't giving a talk, but I was at a summit and people were like, what do you do? And I just told them what I did briefly, like 1 or 2 sentences. And then I had a nurse practitioner come up to me. She was a nurse practitioner. And she was like, the exact same thing happened. I just stopped working because of it. And then I was like, what helped you? And she was like, pretty much the stuff you taught. Somehow I figured it out on my own. And now she's coaching in other aspects. It's kind of amazing, like how common it is. I think that's the thing that always surprises me.
And I
Yeah,
love when in general people say like it doesn't pick race or culture or social status or anything. Actually, the people that are most successful, they're probably in general the ones that suffer the most because they have such a high standards. And
yeah.
yeah, I've seen CEOs, people approaching to me and saying like, I'm suffering from anxiety,
Yeah,
and
they
you're
tend to
like
be the most
shocked,
stubborn
like
too.
really this guy? Yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously, seriously. And because they're so used to relying on their intellect, that they're very stubborn too. So when you're like, hey,
Oh yes.
can't think your way out of this, and then they're like, oh no, like, but this is what so there's a lot of letting go, like how you talk about, but that's the growth, that's the amazing part. And looking back, it gives you so much more. And Christian, you're like in such a good place because it's just going to keep giving. Now you're exploring other avenues in your life, and now it's like it just becomes like this gift. And like now you're just like it just kind of like opens up in this amazing way, man.
I would love is a call out for people, not the people that are suffering, but in general. Like I found myself at least very intellectually given and all of that, but mentally, I didn't realize I was so weak, and I didn't even know like how thoughts work. I was believing everything I came to my mind. I have no tools whatsoever to overcome this. Literally, was driven by my mind. Like, what if this happened? And then I was just constantly in a rush doing things, and I didn't question anything, just like going through this, whatever came to my mind is truth, and yeah, now, yeah, hopefully people, even I would hope that even schools teach these things so kids don't have to suffer when they're a bit older. Yeah.
I agree. That's the ultimate goal, I feel. We could prevent it and just teach it, right? Because we always learn we learn how to like gather data.
When they're screwed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but we don't learn how to like use them. We don't understand the mechanics of it. We just like absorb knowledge, but we don't know like how does the mind truly function. And like, yeah, no, that's a great point, man. Christian, what would you recommend? What would you tell somebody who's like in the thick of it? I always kind of end it with this question in general, which is, what would you tell somebody who's going through this right now that feels unique, that feels probably like how you did in the very beginning, who's watching this video? What would you tell them right now?
First thing I would say, find a program or a person, whoever that is, whatever shape it comes, and trust it. Don't seek different things. I was watching, one point I was watching videos for 6-7 hours, and then this program, and then you have a psychologist and a psychiatrist. People pulling you in different directions. So hard, you don't come through because you don't do anything properly. So find that person or program that you trust, follow through, really trust what you've been told, and that's the key. I guess for me it was relying on something, trusting that something. Otherwise, you do everything halfway. So that's one thing. I guess I understand it's really hard to trust something when you've tried so many things.
Yeah.
But I would say give it a go, a good go, and see if it works. So far everything you've tried hasn't worked. So what is the harm on trying something for real all the way in? So I would say that's key. And I guess if it really helps watching things like this, because you can see a real story from beginning to end and where you're at, and I guess ask how would that journey look like, and you see like small steps in as you can approach this journey, if you want to call it. I think that really helps. So but at the end of the day, put the work. It's on you. Don't stop blaming people. I would say stop blaming the system, stop blaming doctors, stop blaming your coach. It's put the work and trust and have faith. I would say is the most important. And if last advice, I would say if you really need, ask for an example or something that really resembles your story, so you can get in touch with that person and hear it from that person directly, and you will. I think you will get that drive to come through and do the work.
Yeah, everything you said was so on point, right? From letting go, putting in the work. I've been doing this for a while now, and it's it can get very frustrating sometimes as a mentor, as a coach, where people are like, I want to get better. And it's like, okay, do this. And like, they're just not willing to let go because of the identity stuff.
Yes.
And like other things. It's like, look, if you want to do this, you have to like trust. And, that's the big part. And I think the biggest thing, Christian, that I think me and you really resembled on, where it was like, I know we had been wrong a lot of times, both of us, but one of the things I always find is sometimes anxiety sufferers, they don't play to win. They don't play to get better. They avoid playing so that they're not wrong again.
Yes. If you're more focused on being right than fixing the problem, you're not going to fix the problem. So you have to let go of that ego, and it's so hard to say, I'm wrong, but this time it's being wrong to heal.
Yeah.
And it's okay. You need to be wrong to now learn the new way, learn the right way. And that was really hard for me to let go, being right. So it's okay. Just be wrong, and it's going to help you to release all the beliefs and jump into the new way. That's the biggest thing.
I agree. I always say to a committed person who's interested in the truth, what does it matter? Even if they're wrong 100 times, 10 times, 1,000 times, it's just another direction. It's like, okay, another lesson. And then you just move forward.
Another lesson, exactly. The longer you hold on to being right is the time that it's going to take you to heal.
Yeah.
Because being right in this case, it means you are attaching to your beliefs, and your beliefs are what is making you sick. Your way of thinking is what is making you sick. So the quicker you release of the way you're thinking is almost the same, is proportional to the way you are learning the new way.
That is so much wisdom that's on so many different levels, dude. That's so true. Like, oh my God. Like, I really hope people grasp what you just said. I hope like right now they're like rewinding and they're like listening to that part, because it's so key and so many people miss it.
So exactly, basically, how long is it going to take me to heal? the time that it takes you to release and release these beliefs, let go of being right, and trust in the new way.
That's it. Perfect. I think that's totally right, man. Dude, I'm so glad we got to do this. Is there any last words that you'd like to mention? Anything you'd like to share? Anything at all? I mean, like the last thing you said was awesome, but I wanted to ask if there's anything else.
I would say have a good chat with the people that surround you because they're so important in your journey. I think the lack of understanding and how they can help you, it's
Yeah.
so important because I had family that they wanted me to focus on something else, and they every time I asked something, they didn't answer to me, and I felt horrible. You know, some other people might answer your questions, and you create that anchor point crutch, and you just keep doing it. You know, so I guess one side is yes, the program understanding and your work. The other side is how people help you to heal and to cover that gap. So it's a bit of a both way, your environment and your work. So I would say once you get on board, you trust the process, you understand how it works. I guess talk to your family, talk to your friends, and almost guide them as to how they can help you. I
Yeah.
think that's also very important.
Yeah.
Get them involved and break the shell of nobody gets me, nobody understands me. Just try to explain them with a real example of something they have experienced. I love that part. This guy taught me nobody gets you unless you understand unless you explain them in a way that something that they can relate on. So
Yeah.
if you almost say explain it with a real case of when they experience intense fear, and now they're going to listen to you, they're going to empathize with you, and now they're on your side. So don't just say people don't get me, get them to get you, and get them to help you.
Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Christian, thank you so much for joining. For everybody else, thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next video.
Thanks, mate.